What is
up?
going on, everybody? I am Caleb, owner of Gamer Faith, everything.
He's stealing my identity, and I usually don't say that. I'm very careful about being like, my website. I own the Gamer Faith.
I know you are, and I'm just hassling you.
Because I don't. If it's a ministry that God can use, it's God's ministry. I'm glad that I'm a part of it. Anyways, we're demonstrating both ends of the dress spectrum. Actually, I should be in like a business suit. You should be in like
I have like a backwards cap. And
yeah,
Ray-Bans on.
Yeah. But we're getting into Matthew 9. If you missed Matthew 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, then check out the other Bible Study Hangouts. We're glad to have you here, and we're going to jump right in.
Yes, we are. You know what else we're getting into?
What?
A boat.
Yeah, it's true. We're not really climbing into the boat of this chapter. But and getting into a boat, this is Matthew 9:1, and getting into a boat, he crossed over and came to his own city. And behold, some people brought to him a paralytic lying on a bed. And when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, "Take heart, my son, your sins are forgiven." That's a lot of authority right there, demonstrated.
Right.
In the last chapter, he demonstrated a lot of authority. Right here, he's demonstrating a lot of authority by forgiving sins.
Yeah.
So, and of course, what's going to happen here? Matthew 9:3, and behold, some of the scribes said to themselves, "This man is blaspheming." But Jesus, knowing their thoughts, said, "Why do you think evil in your hearts? For which is easier, to say your sins are forgiven, or to say rise and walk? But that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins." He then said to the paralytic, "Rise, pick up your bed, and go home." And he rose and went home. I think that that's interesting, that he's implying that, I don't know how to put that. I think that whole situation is interesting, and then he shows his authority once again by saying, "Rise, pick up your bed and go home." I think that's cool.
Yeah, I like it how it's like, which is more difficult, to say this or this, and then he does both.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I'm also continuing with this theme of Jesus going around and healing everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
Showing that he is the Son of God.
Yeah, showing authority, and it's super cool. And he was a controversial person. He wasn't like,
despite all the good that he does and did, like, people are like, no.
Yeah. And still to this day, a controversial individual. Like, despite all the good, people like to accuse him of evil still, I feel. Anyways, not to go on a bunny trail with that. Let's see. Matthew 9:8, I believe. Is that where we're at?
Yes.
Okay. When the crowd saw it, they were afraid, and they glorified God, who had given such authority to men. Those are in, like, first they're afraid, but they also glorify God, who had given authority,
because it's an awesome power.
Yeah.
But it's frightful to see someone with such capabilities.
Yeah. As Jesus passed on from there, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax booth, and he said to him, "Follow me." And he rose and followed him.
I love, like, you see this a lot with the disciples and stuff, but their willingness to just, like, in an instant, drop it all and go follow Jesus and be one of his disciples. Like, they make it sound so easy by just having it in a line's worth of dialogue in the Bible, but, like, that's a crazy to drop everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree completely.
It makes me think, like, would I do that? Like, I hope I would.
Yeah. I hope I would too. It makes you, all the factors there, I don't know, but they don't spend a lot of time saying how tough it was. They just, all it says right there, he went, with them. And as Jesus reclined at table in the house, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. Wonder what this footnote is right here. Okay. One of the words there is in Greek. Apparently, I don't know, you can check it out on Blue Letter Bible. There's little footnotes there to check some of the words. Matthew 9:11, and when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when he heard it, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous, but sinners." That, goes and shows his mission there.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are in need, sinners, and we're all sinners. We're all in need of, but it shows where their hearts were at versus where his heart, like, why are you hanging out with those sinners? Well, because they're the ones who need healed.
Right.
You have anything to add to that?
No, that's pretty self-explanatory, I think, right there. You got it?
Then the disciples of John came to him, saying, "Why do we and the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast?" And Jesus said to them, "Can the wedding guests mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast." Now we get into some really interesting, not that itself, that statement isn't interesting up there. So there's a lot to be said for that. And if you guys want extra detailed commentaries, blueletterbible.org, you go there, you can click on verses, find commentaries. And once again, don't take just our word for it. We're not, Bible scholars, but we're just here discussing it, and listen to God, not us. I like to say that. Cover my tracks there. So the whole discussion about the bridegroom, and Jesus is with them right now. And then he starts talking about this interesting thing here. Matthew 9:16 puts a piece of unshrunken cloth on an old garment, for the patch tears away from the garment, and a worse tear is made. Neither is new wine put into old wineskins. If it is, the skins burst and the wine is spilled, and the skins are destroyed. But new wine is put into fresh wineskins, and so both are preserved. What do you think about those two things? Any thoughts?
To be honest, I'm a little confused myself at what they mean.
Now, this is what I have heard. This is an area that confused me too, and I looked into this, and what a lot of people say that what he's alluding to here, or what he's saying here, is talking about old, like, ritual laws versus new. Like, you don't sew a piece of the new onto the old and, like, keep the old and use a piece of the new. It just doesn't work. Because it'll tear it away. It'll be worse than just using the old or just using the new, kind of.
Yeah.
To try. But people say that this has to do with, like, the old practices of, like, ritual and law and sacrifice and stuff like that, versus the new way, which Christ is paving the new way.
Grace.
Yeah, which is grace and mercy, which doesn't he say right above there that something, I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous but sinners.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah.
Neato.
It's kind of a cool thing
Yeah, it is cool
to come across. One of those things that maybe don't be, how do we put this? And I'm not saying I've never done this, but don't be a lazy Bible reader, because you're just going to rob yourself of like cool things that you could find otherwise. Like, if you have a question about something, seek out answers. Don't just be like, I have to read this much and then that's that. And if I don't understand this, whatever, I'll just kind of move past it real quick. Seeking out, like digging deeper, trying to understand things is super rewarding. And oftentimes, like, you'll totally miss finding something really cool if you don't spend the time to do that. You know what I mean? You could read and not be like, I didn't get much out of it. But if you're not digging deeper and actually searching, you will miss stuff. And there's enough for the rest of your life you can dig into this book, and you'll never have it all, I believe. I believe God's got it all, and different people have different pieces, and I think there's sort of a beauty to that. But yeah, always do that if you have questions, especially in these Gospels. You'll find, well, I don't know about especially, but I have found personally a lot of things in these Gospels that are particularly interesting with questions with Jesus and his ministry, and it's really interesting.
For sure.
And Matthew 9:18, while he was saying these things to them, behold, a ruler came and knelt before him, saying, my daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live. And Jesus rose and followed him with his disciples. And behold, a woman who had suffered from a discharge of blood for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment. For she said to herself, if I only touch his garment, I will be made well. Jesus turned, and seeing her, he said, take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well. And instantly the woman was made well. Once again, instantly, and once again, a focus on faith. And we're working on a potential video and an article about anxiety. And just to give you a snippet, like, there's tons and tons and tons of verses in the Bible that command you not to fear, like, why are you anxious? All these types of things. And yet we are anxious. And I think that there's something, what do you think the opposite of anxiety is? You have any thoughts?
Like, peace is the opposite of anxiety.
Right. But I think that the way that you find that peace is
faith. That's me. I agree.
Faith.
That's, if I'm in like a faith struggling situation, I'm absolutely more anxious about things. But the more trust that I can put in God, and like the closer I draw to Him in anxious times, the much cooler I become in regards to anxiety. I can find more peace and things like that. So I absolutely agree.
Yeah, if you love God and you love other people, you believe God loves you and cares about you, yet you are anxious about these things that you have already prayed about. Pray about things, obviously, and talk to God. But then there's a lack of faith there, because now this doesn't mean that we'll never have hard times,
right?
But there's a level of understanding, there's a level of faith where you know God's going to take care of me no matter what. Even if this seems impossible, like, God knows what's best ultimately. And like, God will take care of this situation. He's in charge. I don't have control. When you try to have control, you're going to be anxious.
Yeah.
When you put it in, like, I'm going to do my part, but God's in control.
Right.
Then, and faith is just super important. Just over and over again, your faith, your faith, your faith, your faith. So keep that in mind if that's something. And we'll probably make a video and an article that'll be on the gamerfaith.com website with more on that.
Yep.
We're thinking this weekend, maybe. We'll have some time.
Good time.
Oh, all right. Matthew 9:23. And when Jesus came to the ruler's house and saw the flute players and the crowd making a commotion, he said, go away, for the girl is not dead, but sleeping. and they laughed at him. He's laughed at there. But when the crowd had been put outside, he went in and took her by the hand, and the girl arose. And the report of this went through all that district. And as Jesus passed on from there, 2 blind men followed him, crying aloud, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." Speaking of his ancestry, that has, it's prophetic, his bloodline. There's a lot of, if you ever want something interesting, look at all the prophecies that Jesus fulfilled. It's astonishing and incredible. All the Old Testament prophecies that Jesus fulfills. It's insane. It's incredible. It's awesome. So, I think scholars estimate over 200 or something like that, and that's just what there's probably who knows how many more that we can't, little things in the Bible that we don't even necessarily notice or think about. But when he entered the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus said to them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" They said to him, "Yes, Lord." Capital L there. Then he touched their eyes, saying, "According to your faith, be it done to you." Once again, faith. And their eyes were opened, and Jesus sternly warned them, "See that no one knows about it." Yeah, it's interesting how secretive he is about some of this stuff. And that's a whole nother study. I won't get into that right now. I don't know everything about that, but it seems that he's very focused on everything at the correct time and like all of this stuff. And I believe there's a lot to that. There's, if you want some more on that, Chuck Missler has a Matthew commentary that talks about some cool possibilities with that stuff. It gets super detailed, but it's interesting to think about.
For sure.
But they went away and spread his fame through all that district. Of course. As they were going away, behold, a demon-oppressed man who was mute was brought to him. And when the demon had been cast out, the mute man spoke, and the crowds marveled, saying, "Never was anything like this seen in Israel." But the Pharisees said, "He casts out demons by the prince of demons." After this point in time, you're going to notice a shift in the way that Jesus presents his messages. We'll get into that as we go on. There seems to be a shift at this point. There's this accusation from the Pharisees, which is a totally terrible. Like, this is pushed the barrier like so far beyond what they should, where they should have been with their thoughts and words. And where their heart is at. And there seems to be a different way that Jesus presents his messages from this point forward, and it's interesting. We'll probably talk more about that when we continue on.
I love the way Jesus deals with the Pharisees.
Yeah,
it's awesome to me.
It is awesome. All right, so Matthew 9:34. But the Pharisees said, "He casts out demons by the prince of demons." Matthew 9:35, and Jesus went throughout all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every disease and every affliction. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." I think this is the point where he switches his style. I could be wrong on that, but I think this is the point. Let me clarify that. If not, it's something very similar to this, but we'll see as we progress on. Then this whole thing about the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few.
That's talking about like sort of like prophets or sending people out to do God's works, like reaping the harvest of people.
Yeah, that's what I believe. Yeah. Yeah, pray earnestly.
Evangelists, that's the word I was looking for, not prophets.
Yeah, evangelists. Yeah. Pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. If you want a cool song, The Harvester, I think it's called The Harvester it's like my favorite guy. Oh man, of course I'm gonna brain fart right now. Blue Mountain, Give Me Your Eyes. Brandon Heath.
Yeah.
Brandon Heath has a few good songs. I think that one is called Love Does and one called The Harvester on his album Blue Mountain. That CD might be in our resource store on the Gamer Faith website. I love that CD. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Super good. The lyrics are super cool, inspiring and stuff. So check that out. Maybe if you're looking for a CD to listen to, if it is on the Gamer Faith resource store and you get it through there, then that also supports us, which is cool. But that's the end of Matthew chapter 9.
Yes.
Any closing thoughts?
I like the way that his ministry, Jesus' ministry, is going about. Like, it's not only to heal people, but to teach people, but he does both of those like in one action, like teaching people about faith through healing people at faith. It's like a cool way to go about it.
Yeah, it is. It is cool. He teaches with words. He teaches with like actions. It's awesome. And we're gonna see soon here, I believe, he starts getting into more parables.
Is that what you're talking about?
I
The
believe.
change?
I think so.
Okay. I was where my mind was going, but I'm like, I don't want to make a wrong call here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to look ahead right now. That's why I'm
cheating.
Sneaking ahead, but we'll get into that more. This might actually be, it's actually, I think, after the next chapter, Matthew 10, that the accusation is made that I was referring to. It's after Matthew 10, I believe, where the style starts to sort of seem to change. So tune in to the next episode to see more about that, see exactly what's going to happen. And yeah, it's a good one.
Next time on Gamer Faith.
Next time
Bible
on
Study.
Bible Study. All right. We love you guys so much. As usual, we're praying for you, and leave comments below. We love it when you do. It means a lot to us. Seriously, we love to read those comments. You guys are super nice. Sam was telling me the other day, like, Gamer Faith is just like the coolest community. You guys are really awesome, and we appreciate it. It's family.
Such kind words for social media.
Yeah, seriously. When I didn't expect there to be so many nice people when I started doing this. I expected to receive more harassment than encouragement, and it hasn't been that way. So that's super positive. But anyways, we love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you around here next time.
Oh yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.